People are getting way too excited about when they think interest rates are going to come back down. I'm seeing people say, yeah, interest rates are coming down over the next month, over the next 3 months, over the next 6 months. And I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. The more I look at this data and the more I research into it, I think these interest rates are here to stay. Yes, we are seeing inflation come down, but that just means that the rate of increase is slowing down. It doesn't mean that we're seeing deflation or the inflation has gone away completely. It's just not increasing as much as it has in the last year or so, right? So looking at this information that we're going to pull up here from the St. Louis Fed, interest rates have gone up crazy amounts in the last year to 18 months. We saw them go from about 2.6, maybe 2.7% range, all the way to over 7% just a couple of weeks ago. They have come down to about the 6% range. And I do think we'll probably get to the low 6% range here in the next couple of weeks, as long as this inflation data continues to cool. However, that's not something that I would bank on. I wouldn't expect it to go much further than that in the near term. Even though we've seen interest rates come down just slightly, I do think that we're going to be at a point where we start to level off and interest rates won't go back down to where they were, at least for a little while, right? I see so many people saying, yeah, within 3 months or 6 months, interest rates will be way back down in the 4% range. And unfortunately, I just don't think that's true. When you look at the inflation data and you look at what's happening to the interest rates, to the bond market, to the stock market, you're really looking at a year-over-year basis, right? If you look back to a year ago, inflation was super high. So now we're seeing these high inflation numbers on a year-over-year basis. If you look month over month, of course, inflation, the rate of inflation has started to come down, but that year-over-year number is still very, very high. It's going to take at least another 9 to 12 months before we see the impacts of that inflation really being adjusted to the level that we're expecting to see, where inflation is coming back down to a reasonable amount. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into my computer here and take a look at some of this information regarding interest rates today and the market here in my local area. Okay, so taking a look at this graph here, I've got it set up for about the last 20 years. Back in early 2000s, we were sitting at about 7% interest rate. This actually came down to about 5 and then hovered between 5 and 6.5% interest rates all the way through the Great Recession, right? It wasn't until after that that we actually saw those interest rates come down, hitting a low right here in late 2012 of low 3% range. So that was a fantastic time to go ahead and lock in that interest rate. They did climb back up into the mid 4% range. I started selling real estate here in 2014, and we saw them, continually decline a little bit here during that time for the first couple of years. Back up, they did hit a new high in 2018 at the end of the year, close to almost 5%. And that's when we saw things start to turn around, and we actually saw those interest rates come down pretty quickly back down to the 3.5% range in just under a year. So interest rates did continue to decrease, but look at this massive spike up here since, basically the end of last year. Back in December, the providers of these mortgage loans realized, hey, look, inflation is going to be a problem. We're going to see a massive increase in the amount of inflation that we have, and we need to raise interest rates to slow things down. So they started raising rates right here. You can see it jumped up to almost 4% pretty quickly. Another big jump up to 5%, hovered there roughly for a couple months, and then made this huge jump up here to 7%. Now they have come back down slightly as we are talking as of today. The latest data on December 8th shows a 6.33% interest rate. I do think we're actually sitting a little bit lower than that, but looking into the future, I don't think that we're going to get back down to like this 5% range for at least another 6 to 12 months. Now, I've heard people on the internet saying, hey, we're going to be back down in the 4% range by spring, right? And I just don't think that's possible. Just because inflation data is cooling, we're not going to see interest rates come down that quickly. It's going to take a long time, right? I think people are being too optimistic about this, and it's really kind of hurting the perspective that a lot of people have, a lot of potential home buyers have, and it's potentially setting them up to be in a spot where they're going to get hurt because they're going to be locked into a higher interest rate with the expectation of being able to refinance in just a quick 3 to 6 months. You could also look at it this way. If you're a potential home buyer, you might be waiting on the sidelines for 3 months for those interest rates to come down, but you might be sadly disappointed when they don't actually do that. Now, that being said, guys, I have no idea what's going to happen to interest rates. And to be honest, nobody else on the internet does either, right? There's a lot of external factors that come to play here. So everybody tries to make their best educated guess, but I wouldn't buy into that noise of, yes, interest rates are coming down in the next, couple of months. I think it's going to take a little bit longer than that. Just looking at past historical data, these things are quick to rise and then they're slow to fall, right? It's going to take months and months before they actually come back down. And with all of this being said, I do want to point out that here in our market, we are seeing a leveling off of prices. Even though we're talking about interest rates here in this video and discussing what's going to happen to them, whether they'll go up, go down, or stay flat for the next little bit, you have to also look at the housing market itself, right? Interest rates rates are just one part of that. If you have a lot of people who are paying cash for properties, you might not be as affected, and the market is going to react differently than what is happening with interest rates, right? Unemployment for jobs is still incredibly low. There's still a lot of demand and a lot of people waiting to jump into the real estate market, especially here in my area. Let's go ahead and jump over here and take a look at some of the statistics for our market as of today. So if we jump in here, let's zoom in a little bit here and take a look at this. So December of 2022, we've had 824 sales so far. This number right here is the original listing price. This is what homes are getting listed for on a median basis. And this right here is the median sales price. So we're seeing homes sell for about $485,000 on an average or a median basis, right? So this is about 92%. This number here divided by this number gives you roughly 92%. But the important thing that I think you need to look at here is take a look at what's happened here between August and December of this year. So we were here at 500. We did come down pretty rapidly from May, which was our all-time high, 540. We did come down 12,000 there. We came down another 22,000 going into July. We saw a big drop there. And then we came down to 500, 490. But look at these last couple months, right? September, October, November, December, prices have remained almost flat during these times, right? You could take a look over the past couple of months and say, yeah, they maybe came down $5,000 or $10,000, but that's only 1 or 2%. That's a very minimal amount in the grand scheme of things, right? If you're paying $500 for a house or $495, it's not a huge difference when you spread it out over the life of a loan. So I do think that we are seeing prices start to kind of level off. Sales are down still pretty substantially. That's mostly because of these higher interest rates. A lot of people have dropped out of the market, but there's also a seasonality effect to the home sales that we're seeing right now. So with that being said, I'm still seeing a lot of people reach out to me, say, hey, Cody, I'm moving to your area. I need some help purchasing a home in Utah. Can you please help me through that process? We're seeing more and more cash buyers come out of the woodworks who are looking to purchase. Now that prices have come down, cash buyers are getting a great deal. And I'm also seeing a lot of people who are still financing and getting some of these more creative loan options that are going to help them. They're going to see a 2-1 interest rate buy down. They're going to be doing an adjustable rate mortgage. There's a lot of different options for each individual person out there. It just depends on what makes the most sense for you. If you're a seller looking to sell in this market, I would probably advise to get your home on the market sooner than later, because the longer you wait, the more potential there is for prices to continue to come down, which means that you're going to get less for your home, right? I think that the downside risk of selling your home in 6 months, the downside risk is going to be much higher than the upside risk, right? You have a higher probability of losing another $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 of value rather than gaining another $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 of value. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to, hey, what makes the most sense for you? What is your timing like? When is it going to be the right fit for you to either buy or sell? And if you're thinking about making a move here to Utah, or you already live in the area, I would love to help you make that decision and also kind of walk you through the process. I want to be your trusted real estate resource when it comes to buying or selling real estate here in Utah, even investing in real estate. I love helping people who reach out to me, and I've helped hundreds of people who've reached out from videos just like this. They see my information, which is here on the screen, and they reach out to me and say, hey, Cody, I'm looking to buy, I'm looking to sell, please help me. And I'd be more than happy to walk you through that process. So reach out to me if you're thinking about making that move. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. And with that said, we'll catch you in the next one.